In today's video, what we're going to be doing is putting turn signals on the Onyx RCR. Now, Onyx does give you the option to purchase turn signals, but I opted not to do that. Reason being is the size. They were really small, or at least they appear to be very small in the pictures and the videos that I see. My biggest fear is that they won't see when those turn signals are flashing. Now, I feel more and more confident each time I take that bad boy out, and I am getting tired of saying right, left, and stop. Yeah, that's it. So stop. Anyway, I have to take my hands off the handlebars and be able to inform people behind me that I'm making a turn, or if I'm stopping, or whatever the case might be. So today, we're putting on these. These are a little bit bigger than what Onyx offers. At least I hope that they'll be more visible by the people that are riding behind you. These are also sequential turn signals. Okay, so these turn signals I picked up on Amazon, and I'll leave the link in the description below. Let's just go over some of the tools that are going to be needed for this install. You're going to want some zip ties, panel tool. I use this little magnet just in case I drop anything and it's not accessible. I also use two different types of ratcheting screwdrivers. One is an angled screwdriver, and there's an assortment of different attachments over here. You are also going to need a socket set, maybe an extension, some type of wire strippers, wire cutters, and these are special. These are side strippers. I'll show you how I use these. Maybe a flashlight, razor blade, and most importantly, a multimeter. This over here is the bracket that I'm going to be using to install these turn signals. Okay, so this is the Onyx. First thing we're going to remove is the seat. Under the Onyx, you're going to find 4 10mm bolts. Those are going to be the first to come off. So I use a 10mm socket and an extension, or you could just use a deep socket without the extension. Okay, so after all 4 nuts are removed, you can lift up the seat. So next we're going to remove the 2 8mm bolts that are holding the brake light down. Next thing I'm going to do is take off the battery cover. And then I'm going to remove the battery. In removing the battery, I power it off first, pull out the fuse, disconnect the power, and after that's done, we can carefully lift the battery out of the bike. Okay, so next I'm going to remove the side covers, and the way that you're going to do that is you're going to remove these Allens that are here on this. There's 1, there's 2, 3, 4, 5 of them that need to be removed before you can take this side cover off. The Allen is a size 3. Okay, so once those Allens are removed, you can take the side cover off, and you'll expose the brains, the guts, what makes this bad boy tick. So if you see here, this is labeled blinker, and there are 4 pins, and it looks like 2 of them are colored black, 1 is purple, 1 is red. And I would assume that the black are negative, and the red and the purple are positive. And over here it's labeled rear harness, and this goes up and to the back of the Onyx. Okay, so after finagling the harness a little bit, I managed to get some slack to the back, and I see the same 4 wires over here, and there are 2 black, 1 red, 1 purple, just like the blinker harness that you saw in the guts. Okay, so upon further inspection, I see that everything is not inside. Apparently there's these two plugs, this one right here and this one right here. They're the only two plugs that aren't connected to anything, so some additional parts are needed. Okay, so fast forward a couple days and voila, we have this. This is the harness that's needed. Okay, so there are only two connectors on this harness. There's only two connectors on the bike. Both of them appear to be the same type of connectors. Battery is disconnected from the Onyx. And over here, that is one of the connectors. And if you look at it, the grounds line up. This end must be the signal lights for the front of the bike, which I don't know if I'm going to be installing. And these look like flashers. And then this connector over here connects to the rear harness on the bike. This is extended through the frame and all the way to the rear of the bike. And these are the connectors that connect to the turn signals. So the connectors that the turn signals I chose to go with they're not the same connectors as the connector that the bike comes with. So I might have to cut the wire and solder it together. I'm about to connect the battery and test now. So the battery is connected. Powering her up. Put the right turn signal on. Right turn signal is flashing. Left turn signal on. Left turn signal is flashing. Okay, so this is the bracket that I'm choosing to use, and one problem that I'm having right now is the holes in this bracket. They are a little bit too small. I will have to open these holes up. Gonna need a different tool for that. To open up the holes, I'm using a unibit. It is a number 2 size unibit with power drill, and I'm holding this with my hand, so I'm using a set of gloves. If you choose to do something like this, maybe a vise would be a better tool. I'm starting here. I'm not starting here. I'm gonna cut this end off only because I want it round, perfectly round. And that was one notch. That was 2 notches. I think 2 will suffice. Okay, so after a couple of bends, this is what I came up with. I'm gonna chop this piece off right here, and again down here, show you what it looks like in a minute. Okay, so I've come up with something that looks a little bit like this. Didn't want them to stick too far out. I wanted them to stick in a little bit. Okay, so cutting the bracket would not have been done without a tin snip. This is a yellow straight cut tin snip. Now it's off to paint. I'm mainly concerned with the parts of the metal that's going to be seen. The parts that's not, I didn't paint. Use a standard paintbrush, black enamel paint for metal. Okay, so over here we have 2 kinds of strippers. This is a side stripper, and this is more of a traditional stripper. And if you look, there is a marking of the gauge sized wire from 20 all the way down to 10. And what you want to do is match up the wire with the marking. If you know the gauge wire, then you could do it that way. In my case, it looks like I'm going here. And you can press all the way down and pull the wire through. And for the side strippers, it's a little bit easier. Just place the wire inside there, and you can open it up that way. Now when you're soldering, you want to bring these 2 bare stranded wires together. something like this. This is just for example purposes. Please don't ever do red to black. Red is usually positive, black is negative. If you bring these two together, boom, explosion. Short. Then you put your soldering tip here and your solder and melt away. When you're soldering a clean iron, clean tip is very important. This is a sponge, a little bit of water, so it's moist. Clean it off, and you want your tip to be shiny when you solder. So you bring your two wires together like so. Hold the tip to the wire to heat it up, and then apply the solder. Let the solder flow between the strands of wire. When you're done, cover the exposed wire with the heat shrink tubing. Break out your heat gun. And heat up the tubing. Alright, we all wired up. Moment of truth, let's give it a test. Right turn signal? Left turn signal?
Oh my god.
We're good to go. So to sum this one up, this modification isn't that difficult. The parts are relatively inexpensive, except for that harness which is necessary. Hope you enjoyed the video, and leave you with this beautiful sunset here in Stanley.